Record. Right,
Record.
right.
Are you getting feedback?
Oh no, all good, all good. Just deciding what I want to do with my mouth. You know how it goes. Typical Thursday night.
Slut?
Oh,
You're not wrong, but not quite right.
you are almost on the mark, just slightly to the left.
Wrong hole.
Woo! Well, anyway, so we are going to segment or split these segments just like my personality. Um, anyway, so the first portion is going to be Fox's holiday therapy.
Oh God. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I need to crack one for this.
All right.
Okay.
I am grounding myself with weed.
I can't do that. I'll be asleep in 15 minutes.
Oh, I have sativa, so I will manage.
It doesn't matter. I don't know. It doesn't work with me. Give me Ritalin. I tell you what, I am very functional. So
Ah, okay.
that's why it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's where the brain and the body begin to balance out, kind of like you're on low grade cocaine.
Right? So
Exactly. And then for me, all I need to do is how to put it? Well, I all I need to do is keep my brain somewhat occupied. And so as long as the circus is going, that's all that matters.
I feel like you're talking about politics now, considering they call the Republican Party the circus lately.
Oh, well, look, I think my head does contain a circus. There's a few parties, and they fight with each other. I'm usually conflicted within myself. What's that Megadeth song where he's like, "There's a civil war inside my head."
You're
Yes.
you're preaching to the wrong choir here. Like I am not a fan of Megadeth. Like it's not that I don't think they play good music. It's not a genre I've ever gone after really.
Oh,
Like
shred.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then it's just to me it's just like another. It's just like a longer, maybe better version of Metallica, and I just can't promote that at all. I just for a band that comes out with 13 albums and I can't tell the difference between any fucking
Hmm.
one of them, and everybody just plays the like everybody is all about the Black Album. Like, oh my god, the radio plays the Black Album only. I hate it
Or
so
as I call it, the
damn
Libertarian
much.
album. That's the one reason that I like it is it has those libertarian themes. That's about it.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. I got a friend who's a libertarian. Well, he says he's going more Republican, but he's not Trump Republican. MAGA.
Well, yeah, there's a difference between well, how do you put it? There's uh, people who don't like power figures in general, and that's what libertarian is supposed to be.
Hmm.
But at the same time, it isn't supposed to be like, oh, you hate all structure. So the way that I view libertarianism is that it's supposed to be like you don't like the narcissist that people either attack or defend because that's just a distraction from people actually working on their interpersonal outcomes. Um,
Okay.
because it's a lot healthier for people to actually help their neighbors rather than going, oh, okay, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to transfer power here. What does that mean? We're going to transfer money to the Susan J. Komen Foundation, and there's going to be all these administrative fees. Okay. And then it's going to get transferred. So maybe one person got helped in all of that. And then we're going to donate all this money to these colleges. Okay, well, maybe the better thing to do, and then there's all these fees, and then all these statues built and whatever, all this pomp that an ego that gets wrapped up in the art of it all, and the red tape. And
Yeah.
so the more effective thing to do would just be to actually have some sort of interpersonal relationship with your neighbor, which people don't fucking do, and then go, hey, neighbor, um, do you actually need like $500 toward your tuition?
Oh,
Or your
yeah.
medical bills. Um, maybe you're better doing that than just getting your name on the list of people who donated to whatever charity.
Yeah. And yeah, so yeah, and then the money disappears before it can do any good. I've heard that so many times about some of those charities of it's all good intentions, but then what is it? The breast cancer one is the
Mhm.
like the worst I ever heard of. Is there like cancer awareness? How much money does actually any of the money that they raise actually go towards cancer, research, development, whatever you want to call it, R&D department? I heard it's less than 20%. So $1 million, and they only actually give out like 20% of it, like to the funds that need to be available. Like that's atrocious to me. Of like, it doesn't, it's pissing in the wind. It's pissing in the face of the people who need it.
Well,
Oh,
it demolishes trust between people as well because people don't see results. And so when people keep on throwing money at things, and or each individual families start throwing money at things and go, it's like, okay, why should I throw money at these programs when, like, let's say there's a program for helping the homeless, and then, oh, how much does it cost to help one homeless person in a year? What, more than my house?
well, exactly.
Yeah, so it's just like, fuck this program altogether. Yeah, so then people just throw their hands up, and then that's why, what was it, goblin mode or whatever became like a thing. And I'd have to look up what that technically was. It was just people just being slovenly, lazy, greedy, essentially, just going against all social norms, not giving a fuck. uh
Well,
uh,
yeah, and
uh,
it's just like, oh well, it's gonna like,
Nihilism, essentially.
yeah,
um
it's just gonna be I'm gonna be taken care of. I don't have to try. I'm just gonna be taken care of. And my girlfriend, she thinks that these was it the anarchist, they've done like they've done these like tests, and they got these people all together, and they said, hey, just give all the stuff that you do, like just give it away, like if somebody wants it, go ahead and give it to them. And kind of a deal. And they're like, oh, okay, so I need this to do something, so and somebody wants it when I'm done, and I'm just going to make another one anyways. So cool, I'll give it to them. And then, oh, I need food. Well, that person grew food, so I just go over and ask for food. And it's like, then everybody's taken care of, like, so the person growing all the food gives it out to everybody, and everybody gets to eat. And then they get, all this other stuff. And I'm like, so it's unmonetized trade, is what I said to her. And she's like, no, it's just open market. Like, it's complete free market. There's no regulations. There's no exchange of like money or just straight out goods. You just give out when people need it.
well,
And
the I will agree with the general concept, because the concept is that trust is more valuable than money. So because with money, you have to both have it and have the ability to spend it.
Mhm.
So the one issue, there are issues with all political systems. And so I do like the general concept of treating all people with equanimity. The only thing is that scarcity is still going to come into play either way. So, um, because let's say that one person produces all of the food,
Yeah.
they're still going to find a way to commodify that and try to make it so they can use it to make more for themselves, an accumulation of other resources. And so at the end of it, I think it sort of behooves each individual to try and learn as many skills as possible for themselves so that they don't have to rely on others or a collective. Which I know I sound like a prepper right now, but the point being that it's good to not have all of your eggs in one basket. So don't quit your day job, but also make sure that you know how to cook, you know how to garden, you know how to sew, you know how to do masonry, you know how to. So in other words, just
Yeah.
have productive hobbies and keep on picking up DIY stuff, because really investing in yourself in that sort of capacity And it doesn't matter whether it's socialism or capitalism, it's or left or right. It would be more about, okay, you have those skills, you've invested in yourself. Whether America goes left or right, the the investment in yourself is going to allow you to survive that circumstance.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
and I totally understand that. But it's my mindset always goes to like the people, obviously I've grown up around people who definitely take more than they give, you know.
oh yeah.
And so then when it's like, it's because of those few people, then it's like, okay, this is where the government kind of mentality comes in, is like somebody's got to be there to regulate, to make sure that the people who, don't want to participate, where it's like, fine, you don't want to, but then you're not going to get anything from me. Like, why am I going to let you be a lazy ass sod when you're not going to, really, help out the rest of everyone else? you know, because
Hmm.
I don't see why I would, like, as if like I had a farm, why would I give you something knowing you aren't doing anything? Like, you're not going to do anything that produces for other people that will in turn, turn around and benefit me in the end. I get that that's like, well, that's the problem
Well,
with you, is like you're
it's
thinking, all how do
transactional,
you get
but
it? Yeah. But it goes around, comes around kind of a deal of, I it's like if I spend money at a local store, that money, gets eventually spent in a different way at somewhere where I work or whatever I do. Because it's like the idea of, if you're hoarding all the money and you own land, and then you pay out somebody to do a service such as woodworking. Well, if you decide, hey, fuck you, I'm not going to pay you for this,
mhm.
I want to keep my money. And it's like, well, no, I did the work. You have to pay me. No, I don't. Fuck you. Go away. And then it's
Well,
like then that's where I can't pay my bills, which
mhm.
means the person who is renting you is in staying at your place that you want to get money from. Well, what if they work at the electric company? They're working at the waterworks, whatever other job. I can't pay my bill because you didn't give me the money so I can pay my bill. That means that person in your building that will not pay you because they didn't get the money from me that I should have got from you. It's that turnaround part of when the rich people stop paying people or start to really say, hey, no, you're not worth that amount. No, we're going to find somebody cheaper. That's where it starts to degrade and grind to a halt of, you're charging too much and nobody can pay their stuff down the line, which means you're not getting it back. They've
Oh yeah, and well, I call that shit rolling downhill. Um, the issue with that is that it also builds pressure, and eventually it pops. So there's the concept of there being the beautiful ones up top, and how to put it, a lot of times people will try to maintain their relationship with the beautiful ones, so to speak, or but people who are in really high up positions, they'll suck up to them, and because they don't want to be down at the bottom. But the only thing is that it's a lot less lonely at the bottom, and eventually the people at the top are going to have a much more difficult fall as well, because let's just say that the spending habits need to get in check, including mine. But I'm not anywhere near like the very top of society. I'm nowhere near the top 1%. Nowhere, maybe. I'm trying to think what percent I even would be. I would have to calculate that out. For a future video, I will disclose my finances. But anyway, what percent are we? Um, or you versus I. But the point just being that anyone who is like a hyper millionaire right now it's a high risk, high reward society. And I can think of so many cases where people thought that they had like 100 million in the bank, and then well, it was investments, and then next thing they knew, they were only worth 100,000. And then people who thought they were only worth like 100,000 were suddenly worth 1 million. So what people count on as reality, um, there's going to be some weird things happening within the next year or so. I know I just said a whole bunch of shit, but I'm curious what you think about that. Did I break you? Still there?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, yep.
Weird. Okay, my headset quit. It's kind of finicky, so if I bumped it just so. Okay, I've been talking for a little while, but I was gonna say is, oh, we're gonna have to edit that out. Okay,
Blah,
so
blah,
I,
blah.
I totally agree that because it's like the people who got on Bitcoin really early, like they invested something like, we'll say $10. Then they sat on it for like 3 years. They invested in, they just didn't think much about it. And they like, oh yeah, whatever. I thought it was kind of cool. I have digital money. Ha ha ha. And then they like didn't think about it ever again. And then all of a sudden they looked at it when they heard like, yeah, it's the next most popular thing. There's multimillionaires, because they got in there so early. Their stock is worth, just a shit ton. And then like
Yep.
they're like, oh hey, well, I did that like way at the beginning. Well, what's it look like now? And then it's like, oh God, I have multi-million dollars that I could just pull out of my stock, on this thing, and all of a
But they
sudden I have
didn't.
all this, yeah. And then some sat on it and thinking like, oh, it's gonna go up and up and up, and then other people are the few people who got really smart because they're like, fuck, I can pay all my bills now. I can get out of debt. Fuck yeah, I'll take this money out. And then they took it out, and then obviously some people just pissed it away because that's
Oh
their
yeah, because
prerogative. But
it's like they won the lottery and they just had to sink themselves completely.
yeah,
Well,
and
and that's the thing is crypto is only one of those markets. My guess is that there are well over 5 other markets that we could think of because there's crypto, there's the basic stock market, there's the housing market. Um,
yeah,
I
the
don't,
housing market's the most fucking one that I can think of
yeah, yeah. Well,
because
because inflation, just the dollar of the sorry, the value of the dollar is also going to mess with where people sit on the economic scale in general. So who's able to invest in cheaper stocks or cheaper real estate, able to get in on the ground floor somewhere. So now we're basically moving away from the libertarian and anarchist philosophies into, okay, if we have to deal with the capitalist system, how are we going to play it? Um,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
and
yeah.
and I've heard crazy stories of people just they decided to do something, had some money at the right time, threw money at it just for thinking, hey, maybe I'll just earn a little bit, and then all of a sudden it just explodes for them, and which is great for them. Like I have friends who, well, like you talking about, the fact is, inflation and how it's fucked with people. Like
Mm-hmm.
my friend is finally making three. He's like, I thought once you made a 6-figure salary, you're set. Like you don't have to fucking worry about anything. He's like, shit, I'm still where I was when I
Yep.
had like 4 or 5 figures, where I'm at 5 figures. And he's like, I haven't, and nothing's really changed. He's like, when I was only earning 50,000, a year, it was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, okay, I'm doing okay. Like I don't have to stress so much about stuff. And then it's like, well, okay, finally I can afford this little bit of a nicer thing. And then it all, before you know it, it's just like, okay, cool. I'm trying harder. I'm trying to earn more. I'm trying to earn more, trying to earn more. And then it's like, it feels like you're barely treading water. It's like, oh, well, now you stress a little bit less about this or this. And that's about it. He's like, at one point, it's just like now having a house is feasible. Like I can actually have enough money saved to buy a house. And then he's like, after that point, once he bought his house, still had his car,
Mm-hmm.
still in working really good condition and stuff, which his parents helped him get that. And then it was just like, okay, cool. So he's at this point now where he's earning a decent amount of money, but he doesn't feel any really richer. He just has noticed it's less difficult to live,
Oh
where
yeah, yeah. Well,
like you said, he always worried about gas, like all the time, whether he can make it to his job or if he can
hmm
go hang out with somebody. He's like, yeah, even after it hit like the all-time high recently, he's like, yeah, that was the first time I decided to actually look at how much it costs because it just doesn't matter to me anymore. He's like, I've just have worked everything out. He's like, I have a house. I barely go anywhere, because I work from home, IT job. And then he's like, so if I want to go fishing or do this and that, he's like, I barely even think about, what gas costs. To me, I'm just like, fuck you. Like, I am always stressing about, can I make all my bills and how much do I have left over? And like mindset of like, oh, I should start saving it. Like I say that every time, but then I'm always like, yep, I'm broke. I got,
negative 900 left over.
no, it's more like I got 6 days before I get paid again. But at least I have a full tank that will get me through those 6 days because I'm doing nothing for the fucking weekend.
Oh man.
So, and it's just like I got enough beer in my fridge.
I
I got Netflix, I got Amazon, like I got the stuff I like to watch, and I'm like, I have so many ungodly amount of games sitting on my computer on Steam. There's no way I can say I need to go out and buy a video game. I need to go and get this. I just
Oh
slowly have
yeah.
collected the really cheap shit. So
When your backlog is about 3,000 hours long
yeah,
and you're just sitting there like, okay, it's a little chilly in the room. I don't need to buy any more video games. I just need to play my games and
yeah.
turn my finances around. Uh,
Or sit down, pet my dogs on the couch, just watching this amount of movies, throw the toys around, take them for a walk. I mean, I guess technically one of the few things I would do, like in the summer, even if I'm broke, like don't have much money, I will still get in my car, take my dogs to one of the really nice dog parks. Like there's an off leash one,
and
and
get them a nice blowjob.
no, they're girls. No, no, no,
I like
no,
how that's the
no,
determining factor.
no. No, but I'll take my dogs there, and then I'll take. I got one of those camping hammocks, and I'll take a 6-pack of beer. I don't give a shit. I have never seen an officer down there and nobody cares. I also put it in like in one of those koozies so you can't even tell what beer I'm drinking.
Oh no.
I just sit there in my hammock. Dogs get to run around a bit. They stay close by. And I just sit there for 4 hours and I do nothing but swing in the hammock, listen to music, and drink beers. I don't drink all 6 of them usually. There's a couple times where I'm just like, oh, we're hitting it hard today. It's been a long week. But my dogs just love it. They run around, they'll lay down underneath the hammock, and then other dogs come up. It's really funny because at some point there is one time we were there, like, and so it was my dogs. We had 3 before one passed away. So we had our 3 dogs hanging out, and then it was my sister and 2 of her friends, and her one friend brought her dog, and so then we were just hanging out there. They brought a chair, but I was in the hammock obviously, and I brought the other one, set both of them up. And so anyways, so we have 2 hammocks, we have 1 chair. They're kind of walking a little bit with their one dog because their one dog didn't want to like really hang out, but at some point, they're just kind of laying down in the sand, on towels. It's kind of shady, so it's really nice. Anyways, and so at one point though, all these other dogs like were coming up and some of them just wanted to hang out with us. Like, oh, we're gonna hang out here now. And so the owners were like, come on, let's go. Let's, trying to coax their dog to come with them and go like farther down the beach and stuff. And they're like, no, we're good here. And so literally there's like 15 dogs all just chilling out, laying down near us. Like they're
Oh,
like,
dog
yeah,
party.
oh yeah, 100%. It was just like a layabout dog party. It's just so funny because all these, like, then you see literally there's almost 20 people standing there and they're like, come on, like let's go, like come on, Pokey or whatever their dog's name is, trying to get their dog to come with it. And they're just like, no, we're good here. Yeah,
Oh.
these people are just sitting here. we're just going to do this instead. And I'm just laughing my head off because of all these people are getting annoyed that their dogs don't want to go any farther. They're like, no, let's just sit here. Let's do this.
Well, yeah, they found a party and they didn't want to leave. It was time to socialize.
Yeah, it was the dog pack. There was one lady who, so she got stopped and she's like, fine, come on, I'm gonna keep walking, and then like started calling for her dog again, and called and called and called. She started to walk back, and the dog's like, okay, fine. Like finally the dog got up and started walking towards her. They walked down to the point, and then they came back, and the dog's like sits down again. He's like, no, I'm done, I don't want to walk anymore. And then she's like, come on, walks farther. She walked a good way on the way back up. And then she said, come on. And then she started walking back again, thinking the dog was. She got all the way to the dog, had to grab the dog by the collar to get the dog started to move again. And the dog even and then she let go because she didn't want to bend over.
Yeah.
And the dog paused and looked back at us like, I want to go back. And the person's like, no, started walking towards the dog and grabbed it by the leash again, hooked it up because the dog kept looking back like, I want to be back there.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's a very attached dog. It's socially in need.
Oh, very. Part of me is like, when I see that kind of stuff, part of me is like, why does your dog want to be around me more than around you? That almost sends up red flags to me of is this dog abused? But it's like, no, because my girlfriend makes the point of she's like, dogs just fucking love you. Like, why, not everybody is a terrible person. And I'm just kind of in this denial a little bit, I guess. Like, okay, cool. Yeah. Dogs like me. I get it. I like dogs a lot too, but it really shouldn't be that way. Like, the dogs want me more than they're human.
Well, I think part of it is that the how to put it, there is the dog party aspect. So the dog might have been kind of attracted to the whole dog party. And then the other part would be that I wouldn't say the human being has to be blatantly abusive. It could be that human being is just kind of neglectful and doesn't really pay that much attention. And so it could just be, it's like, oh, you look like fun. And so yeah, it's like, oh, you look like more fun than my human. And so that could have been the situation as well. So I think that it's quite possible that you had the right impression. It's just that it probably wasn't that severe of a situation.
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
no, I totally agree. Like, Lewis says the same. Girlfriend says the same thing. And she's just like, yeah, dogs just love you too much. She thinks it's kind of awkward. I'm like, whatever, I love it. Of course, I'm the same way. You're like, I want to stop and I want to pet everyone else's dog.
Yeah. You're kind of like a sex addict, except with dogs. You're like David Duchovny, except when you see a dog.
I'm the David Duchovny dog person.
Exactly.
That sounds, I don't know if that sounds really bad or if it just sounds fucking weird. Probably a little bit of both.
Well, it's not a problem. We all have a little bit of David Duchovny in us.
And if you don't, do you want him
to? David Duchovny? I have low boundaries.
I have low boundaries.
I was actually told that on Monday. It was a very funny scenario. Tell you what, I'll actually pause the recording because we can just a second. It's a very good segment break.